Hey everybody, welcome into this week's edition of the Top 5 from Tony's Spot On Fishing. I'm your host, Tony Krizak, and today we're going to count down our top 5 picks for post-spawn bass fishing, largemouth bass post-spawn into that early summer transition. These are our top 5 picks for all the local lakes you should be throwing this period. The first bait we're going to talk about is from Strikeking. It's the Ragetail Craw. Now, we like to run more natural patterns in this one, a straight green pumpkin, blue craw, maybe even a candy craw. And then once in a while, if need be, if we're in real dark, dirty water situations, low light periods, we may pull out a black and blue or even a summer craw pattern to get a little chartreuse going. We rig it on a 3/0 EWG hook and a free sliding tungsten weight. Now, depending on the depth and the wind conditions, current conditions, we may run an 1/8 ounce, a 3/16 ounce, even up to a 1/4 ounce if need be. As long as you can continue to feel bottom contact with that weight, but always try to go as light as we can this time of year. The other little trick we do, we put a little bit of that Spike It marker, the garlic scent, just on the tip of the pinchers, give it a little contrasting color, little extra scent, and it goes a long way. Those paddle tails of the Ragetail Craw create a lot of undulation. It'll get you a lot of bites. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is where we're going to start to actually cover a little more water. Where the craw really shines is, more right after they spawn, and we got to fish slow, fish deeper. But once those fish start moving again, we get to do my favorite style of fishing, something that's being classified now as power fishing. And the first bait we're going to talk about is from Strikeking. It's the Squarebills. They're 1.5 series. You can get them in rattling and non-rattling. Some days they want that a little extra rattle, turbulent water. Sometimes it gets the aggression going, having that rattle. There's days where they want that silent one. So I have a couple different ones, both the silent and the rattle. Play around, cover a lot of water. They dive to about 3 feet in depth. And we can actually fish them shallow, fish them on the edges. We can fish rocks, weed edges with it. Great bait to cover. The Squarebill will kick off all the cover for you. You're not going to have to worry about following that bait up and hanging it up and losing it. One of our favorite picks, that Squarebill from Strikeking. Well, I'll tell you, there has been so much hype about Swimbaits lately, and that hype is well deserved. They flat out catch fish. And one of my favorite times to throw them is in this post-spawn period. Those fish start coming up, new emergent grass flats, and they're feeding, and a Swimbait is great. We can actually run it on these new Strikeking heads, the belly flasher weights that they have. And it's a little spinner blade that hangs down below, kind of looks like a vertical drop hook almost, with the weight being on that hook or an old school Swimbait hook. But that little extra flash that blade gives us is perfect. It's actually going to be rigged Texas rigged, so we can get it through most of the grass mats, all that stuff. Run it in a couple different sizes, the 3 3/4 inch or even their 4-inch model, a little bit bigger. Never really have a need to go much bigger than that. Natural patterns, bluegill, the KVD Magic color is very good, green pumpkin, watermelon. All good choices for around the Chicagoland area. We can fish them a little slower, get a little more depth to it, or we can crank them a little quicker to get them across shallow flats. Great way to cover some water and find those active fish. A lot of times though, they may be a little less aggressive. They may grab that tail before they actually initially grab that whole bait. So if you're missing fish, you're getting bit, but you're not putting hooks in them, give it an extra second or two. Don't set right away, and you'll pick that fish up. Just kind of keep reeling at the pace you were at. Extra second or two, it's going to equal a lot more landed fish for you. Now, the next thing we want to talk about, a lot of people always ask us questions about this next bait and exactly when we can throw it. And I'll tell you what, it works in a lot of situations, but it really, really excels here. And it's the Zoom Super Fluke. It's a soft plastic jerkbait. Now, rather than suspending or floating back up like a hard jerkbait may, these baits will sink. It's slow fall rate though, very similar fall rate to like a Cinco. but we just twitch them, light twitches of the rod tip with a little slack in the line, and we can get those Zoom Super Flukes just darting, dancing real nice. Pauses, that bait's gonna fall. Sometimes it'll get a little head fall, sometimes it'll be a nice horizontal slow fall. Excellent bait. Being Texas rigged on a 3/0 EWG hook, we can literally fish it around docks, piers, rocks, weeds. Don't have to worry about this thing getting hung up. Comes through everything. Just a phenomenal bait. Year round for bass fishing, but really excels here, the Zoom Super Fluke. Now the last one we're gonna talk about is a spinnerbait. Literally, probably the most productive search bait we have in our arsenals. We can cover literally every level of the water column with them. The faster you retrieve a spinnerbait, the higher up in the water column that bait's gonna ride. The slower we retrieve it, the lower it's gonna ride. You can slow roll just near the bottom, deep weed edges, deep rock bars, open water situations, or we can kind of scoot it along the flats. And I prefer a little bit smaller profile spinnerbait, so we'll actually pick the Terminator Spinnerbait. 3/8 ounce is a good size. You could go to half if you're fishing more deeper water situations, but we can cover water, find these active fish, and when they start feeding, man, look out. That spinnerbait is the bait to be throwing. So there you have it, folks. That's our top 5 picks for post-spawn, early summer patterning around the Chicagoland area bass fishing. What are some of your favorite picks? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you and talk with you. Always enjoy interacting with our viewers on YouTube. But that's about it for this top 5, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, my name's Tony Krizek. We'll see you again next time on Tony's Spot on Fishing.